Hi guys, welcome to this week's topic lesson where we're going to continue looking at the legacy and what George Cadbury did for workers. So we're not going to look at his chocolate, we're not making chocolate, we're not going to investigate chocolate. We're not actually going to look at George Cadbury anymore, but we're going to look at the kind of things that he put in place for workers and see if we can do the same if we were creating a company today. So there's going to be a lot of discussion with a grown-up, so make sure you've got a grown-up with you today. And some of the things might be a little bit tricky. I'm not going to lie, some of the things you might find a little bit hard, mainly because you're a child and you don't work yet, okay? But we'll get to that in a minute. So we're going to answer this question today. How can we improve working conditions now? So to start with, I just want you to pause the video and have a little chat with your grown-up about some of the things that George Cadbury did for his workers. So pause the video now. Okay, hopefully you've remembered some of the things that we talked about last week and that you didn't draw a complete and utter blank, but let's see how you did. So he moved the factory from the centre of Birmingham to the countryside so that it looked nicer for his workers. He built spacious houses with gardens for the people that he employed. He gave workers holiday and sick pay. He built swimming pools to encourage exercise, especially in boys. He had doctors' surgeries on site. He offered night school classes for grown-ups. And he offered summer camps for boys and trips to the countryside. So all of these things were used by him to make his workers feel like they were valued and that they wanted to work there. It wasn't just a job. It made life better for them and they didn't worry so much, which meant that they worked harder, which meant that they made more chocolate and were happier workers. So my question is, if you were starting a chocolate factory or some kind of factory or some kind of office today, what would you do to make it better for your employees? So think about all the things that you could stick in an office now. What would you have? Okay, so that's my question. So how could we improve life now? This is places of work. How could we improve the buildings and the places that we work in? So talk to your grown-up for as long as you need. What would you, if you were working for a company or if you were a boss of a company, what would you put in your offices or in your places of work for it to be more fun and better for your workers? Talk now. Pause the video now. Okay, brilliant. So here we go. Here are some of the things that I came up with. Okay, so here we've got a set of offices here which have got loads of inflatable animals. It just looks fun. So there's lots of things on your offices just to make you feel a little bit more at home. Just to feel like you're not in just some kind of boring office. You're in somewhere that's a little bit of fun. So you've got balloons hanging down from the ceiling. We've got a picture. These are offices in America, and yes, that is a slide coming down from the top floor or from one of the floors to the bottom floor. So you don't have to use the stairs, you can use a slide. Okay, so that's something you could use. And here in the picture as well, there's obviously a big screen which either showing some television programs or they might show the news or something, I'm not sure, without actually going there myself. Here, so this is a company that makes video games. They've got an area where when you're not working, you can come and play video games against each other. Here, this was for just to well-being. So it's a drawing room. So you can go in there. There's pencils, there's pens, there's loads of different things. There's paint, and you can just have some fun. Here, oh, I went too far. Here, this office has balls, as in it's a great big ball pool with balls around it, just to make it a little bit more fun. You could throw balls at the people you work with. This one is all about green and recycling and green energy and sustainability. So everything in this office was recycled. So it's got some wood. It's got these things in the background are massive, great big tanker containers, which have been made into offices. And here, it's all powered by solar energy. And it even has gardens and things growing in it themselves. Here, this one is built in a cave in Finland. So it's built underground, keeps it warmer. So they don't have to run on heating. And then finally, this one, this was called this was a breakout room, or like where you can go and have a break from your work. They've got some nice comfy chairs, and they've even got a little mini golf set as well. So these are just some of the things that I came up with while trawling the internet of how companies now have improved and made their offices more fun, but also more environmentally friendly as well, if you think about the one underground and the one made of completely recyclable stuff. Okay, so that's the easy bit. Okay, that's how you can make the offices look better and more fun. The harder bit now, and this is the bit I think you're going to really struggle with, which means you might need your mum and dad's help, is this one. So how could we improve life? What perks, in other words, what bonuses, what things could you give your employees to make them feel better about themselves? So these are the things you actually give them. So this, thinking about holiday and sick pay that George Cadbury gave. Here he did work excursions, he did night classes. These are all things to keep the workers happy. Okay, so what could you give, bearing in mind that you are opening up a chocolate factory, what kind of things could you give to your employers? Talk with your grown-up now. Pause the video. Okay, fantastic. You've had a little bit of a think. I do think this one is a bit hard, which is why when we come to the activity in your pack, this one is not that important. So you could give people discounts on what you're selling, anything at all. So the chocolate that you're selling, you could allow the people who work there to get it a lot cheaper than if you were buying it in the shops. A wellness program. So you think about our Wellbeing Wednesday and Wellbeing Wednesday on a Thursday kind of assemblies. You could do kind of things like that for your employees. You could give them free stuff. So you could give them free chocolate. So a friend of mine works for Hotel Chocolat, and there was just chocolate everywhere, and they could take as much chocolate as they wanted home with them. You could get medical care. So these means you wouldn't have to go to a doctor. You could go to a doctor in your building. It wouldn't cost you any money. You might not have to pay for a prescription if you needed to get some medicine. You wouldn't have to pay to see a dentist. It's all paid for by the company itself, and a lot of big companies do offer that now. Childcare in your office. So imagine being a parent, you have to drop your child off at a nursery before going to work. Well, what if the nursery was in your work? So that could be something you might want to do. And you could offer them holidays. So my brother, he works for a company at the moment who books travel for GCSE for older children at secondary school, and he has to go and check these places out before he's allowed to book people on them. So he's been to loads of different places all around the world, just with his company, and they've paid for it. So those are some of the things that you could do. As I said, that bit was really hard. Now here's the fun bit. Okay, what I want you to do is, the sheet in your pack, there's two bits to it. There's a big box and there's a bit with some lines. In the big box, I want you to design an office for your chocolate company. So what would you have in the office? What would you have? A slide? Would you have, kind of a television to watch things with? What things would you put in all your offices so that the people working in there were a lot happier? Okay, and I want you to design it. It could be things hanging down from the ceiling. It could be anything at all. You think about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Okay, what kind of things did they have in Charlie and the Chocolate? They had a chocolate river. They had a whole room where everything was made of chocolate. Maybe you want to design a chocolate room, okay? Or you could just design kind of like a fun space in your office. And the second bit is just, so all I want you to do is 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you could give to your workers to make them happier. So you can use the things in the video if you want to, like free chocolate, discounts, medical care, anything like that, or you can come up with your own. And that is it for this week. We're going to move on to, when you come back to school next week, we're going to move on to another pioneer who did something completely different again. So good luck with your chocolate rooms and your chocolate offices.